Welcome to the Realm Kast. I am your host, the Mortal Kombat fan Tim, and with me as always is my co-host, the lore master Yanni. Welcome, Yanni.
Thanks, Fan Tim.
And with us today, we have a special guest. We brought on with us the famous BruskPoet. Welcome, Brusk.
Famous.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the invitation, and I'm excited to be on here.
We're happy to have you here.
We really are. Thank you for joining us. Some of our listeners might not know exactly who you are. Do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and your channel?
Sure. My name is BruskPoet, obviously. I have a YouTube channel that's been going on for over 5 years. And I've been doing a lot of Mortal Kombat stuff, talk about general Mortal Kombat topics, whether it's news, whether it's things from the past, or just anything. And I also stream. I'm an upcoming streamer. I'm almost there to be a partner on Twitch. And I've been streaming Mortal Kombat on there, and it's been really, really fun. So I'm trying to make my ways as much as I can.
So you've been a Mortal Kombat fan for quite some time. Can you tell us a little bit about just how Mortal Kombat's kind of affected you?
Yeah, so I've been a Mortal Kombat fan since I was like 5 years old. All right, I know I shouldn't have been playing those games, but who the hell cares? All right,
we all were.
Yeah. You know what? You'd be surprised. Some people were like, I remember like saying like, making these really nice posts about like, oh, how I've been a Mortal Kombat fan since this age. You get like those one or two people in the comments or in your replies saying something like, oh, why were you playing the game at that age? I'm like, shut up. Anyways, no, I've been a Mortal Kombat fan since I was like 5 years old, and it started with Mortal Kombat Deception. And since then, I just stuck with Mortal Kombat. There is just something about Mortal Kombat. I can probably point to specific things, but it's just something about the franchise that just made me so like addicted to it that I just kept following it. I kept following it. I kept following it. And I kept playing it, and I kept playing it, and I kept playing it. And I made a YouTube channel all around the franchise, and it's really helped my life a lot. Like, it's like got me far. It's helped me discover what my dreams are in life, and that's to be a content creator. So
like Mortal Kombat has started you down this whole path of your future in a way.
Yeah, it helped me figure out what I wanted to do on YouTube, because on YouTube I used to just do whatever the hell I wanted to do. And then when Mortal Kombat X was coming around, I was like, wait, I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan. I think I would have a good, interesting input on the franchise or the game leading up to the release, or just throughout the entire game's life, because I know this franchise, I know these characters. I really, really like everything about like every single aspect of the franchise. So I want to do this, and boom, I've been at it since 2014.
That's seriously cool. It's like sort of helping you find who you are in a way as well.
Yeah, that's correct. And yes, I would like to expand more, but I think Mortal Kombat, it will always be the most important thing to me. It's my favorite thing in pop culture in general. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
So, well, you mentioned you started with Mortal Kombat Deception. I'm going to take a guess. Is that your favorite game?
It is. It is my favorite game.
Called it.
It's a really good Mortal Kombat game.
Yeah. In terms of, well, I'm assuming the lore and everything got you into, I guess.
Yeah, well, part of it is, I think Liu Kang in general helped me get through that, because when I saw Liu Kang as a zombie in that game, I was like, what the fuck, zombie Bruce Lee? That's so cool.
So I guess that leads me to the next question. Who is your favorite MK character?
I like answering the questions in advance. Yeah, Liu Kang is my favorite character.
You're
He's
just reading
my
our
favorite
mind.
character. Yeah, but I guess if you didn't want a spoiler answer, I would say like my second runner-up would probably be like Skarlet. That's like my favorite female character.
Nice.
So yeah,
cool.
I really like that character. But yeah, Liu Kang is my primary favorite character.
We don't get a lot of people on here who have Liu Kang as their favorite character. What is it about him that, attracts you to that character?
Well, I always like martial arts movies, and I always like Bruce Lee movies. And I always like the Asian culture, the Oriental kind of stuff. And the vibes that I get from Liu Kang is exactly that. Of course, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And that's what just made me that it was like automatically my favorite character, because anybody associated with that kind of stuff would get my attention.
Awesome. And what sort of attracts you to Skarlet? Because I think I do remember up until MK11's reveal, you making a lot of posts about Skarlet returning or hoping that she would return.
Oh, yeah. I remember like really pushing the Skarlet train. Around the time Mortal Kombat 9, I realized that I didn't have like a favorite female character as such. It's not like I didn't like the female characters. It's just that I never really thought about like, okay, who are the ones that I actually really like and which one's my favorite? And I go and I look at Skarlet in MK9, and although I think she's better in MK11, so I saw Skarlet in MK9 and I'm like, this character has a lot of potential. I can see what she can do with the blood powers. There's a lot more that you can do that's actually in the game right now. And Mortal Kombat 11 Skarlet like just showed exactly what I thought Skarlet could be in a Mortal Kombat game if she were to be like a really well-defined character. So yeah, that's what made me want to be maybe made me a Skarlet fan was actually the potential. And then Mortal Kombat 11 kind of just like confirmed or kind of just gave me what I've been hoping for.
Do you prefer the older games, or are you a big Mortal Kombat 11 fan?
It depends on what you mean by older games. Like, do I have a more fun time playing the older games? Do I like the older games a lot more than Mortal Kombat 11? I mean, I love playing Mortal Kombat 11 now. I still play it almost every day. But if you're talking about like, do I find Mortal Kombat Deception more fun? No, because I've gotten like I built a standard for myself in terms of gameplay. Like the gameplay isn't, the best. I'm not gonna like defend everything about Deception, even though it's my favorite game. But I don't know. There's different standards. There's different criterias. I guess like there are certain elements about Deception that I like more than MK11. But I would still prefer to play MK11 over Deception right now because, one, it's kind of easier to play MK11. All I got to do is just turn on my PS4. If I want to play Deception, I have to hook up my Xbox that I don't play like all the time.
So what's your experience been like with MK11 specifically then?
I like it. I like how the gameplay feels, especially like playing as a Liu Kang and Skarlet main. Those are like one of the most fun characters to play. They have a lot of combos and it's visually pleasing. There's a lot of things in MK11 that I've been wanting out of a Mortal Kombat game, and I got it. Like, Deception Sub-Zero is in the game.
Yes.
Different intros and outros that you can customize that I've been wanting ever since I played Overwatch, and you can customize your intros and outros. I was like, they should do that for Mortal Kombat because we're always looking at the same like intros and outros throughout these NetherRealm games, and they kind of get annoying and repetitive. Now you can mix them up. So that's really good. Also, visually, it just looks gorgeous.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Everybody looks super, like everyone looks super like real. Like Liu Kang looks handsome as hell. I don't roll that way, but wow. Yeah.
For all the criticism MK11 gets, honestly, in terms of Phantom and I talk about this quite a bit. Like the art style is beautiful. It really is. It looks amazing.
Oh yeah, and it felt like an apology from MKX, and I don't know if we'll have time to talk about MKX or anything like that, but I didn't like MKX's like very grim and colorless like aesthetic. MK11 is like the complete opposite. It's back to like the colorful like stuff that
vibrant.
Like the old MK games had. So there's just a lot of things. I can go on like for like 20 minutes talking about that, but I don't think we have time for that. But yeah, Mortal Kombat 11 is a game that I really, really do enjoy.
That's a great point that I actually don't even usually consider is how dark they went with MKX, especially right after MK9.
Yeah, it really, like, you went from such a beautiful sort of color scheme in MK9 to this dull, lacking in color MKX, and then switch right back to all those beautiful colors and with amazing graphics, with MK11. Actually, that's one of the biggest criticisms of MKX, despite people... Nowadays, you get a lot of people hating on MK11's gameplay and comparing it to MKX's gameplay. But one thing that everybody seems to agree on is the art direction for MK11 was miles ahead of MKX's.
Oh, yeah. And I think it was because around the time, it was like made when people had this Tankeroan view of Mortal Kombat, like 2 years prior to MKX coming out. Mortal Kombat Legacy was out. And that series was really like, dark and realistic and horror-like and all this Christopher Nolan-esque kind of vibe. And a lot of people thought that was how Mortal Kombat was, because that was like our first like real big exposure to Mortal Kombat, like our first live action exposure to Mortal Kombat. So I brought in all these, casual fans and newcomers thinking that's how Mortal Kombat is. And then Mortal Kombat X comes in and says, yeah, kind of. I mean, there's still color in there. There's still like the not legacy vibe that you get from that, but it still falls in line with it. And I don't really like it. That's not how I like my Mortal Kombat.
So tell us a little bit more about your YouTube channel. How would you kind of classify it?
I would like to say it's an amalgamation of everything. Although my community does know me as somebody who likes to talk about the lore. Like I get a lot of questions about the lore, like what happened at this specific point in time, or can you explain why this happened? And I think my most successful like series has been my lore Q&A videos, where I take like 5 questions lore related and I answer them in the video, and they've been like super successful. And I think that has made it seem that I'm a lore channel. But if you look at my channel, actually, like objectively, I talk about like almost everything. Like I put my input here and there in gameplay, and then input almost all the time in general, of just general Mortal Kombat topics and stuff. So I would say general, but I do think a lot of people would say like lore.
Yeah, I think that's how I actually found your channel, through your lore question videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was watching a few of those, and I mean, I'm one of those guys who tends to elaborate on certain things I'll hear, or like comments on everything. So yeah, I that's how I found you myself. And
cool.
Lore-wise, I've always enjoyed your channel, and I was wondering, do you actually do much about, like, say, the gameplay in a competitive way?
Other than like play like Combat League and MK11, I don't really like play competitively. Like I really want to be like a good player. I would say on a scale of like somebody who's like absolutely free to somebody who's like Ninja Killer or Sonic Fox level, I'd say I'm like below the middle, like just below the middle. I don't think I'm that good, but I have gone to tournaments before. I went to Combo Breaker and I went to a local tournament here in my city. So that's basically the most you've ever gotten in terms of competitive gameplay from me.
All right, so what we wanted to do today was go into the inconsistencies of Mortal Kombat's story as a whole, but with a sort of focus on Mortal Kombat 11. So would you like to kick us off with anything that you've got on your mind?
I would like to say, I remember during the MK11 hype days, so before the game came out, I remember when it was revealed that Kotal was a prisoner of Shang Tsung in the Flesh Pits. Mm-hmm. And when you go in the MKX comic, that never happened. I was like very confused as to where that came from. But around that time, I didn't really pay attention to it much, so I didn't really like give it much attention.
That's a good point, because I have definitely, and I know Phantom has heard of this, and I can't think of where it might have come from, although our friends at the Mortal Kombat Encyclopedia have a very interesting theory that Kotal Kahn, having been kept in Shang Tsung's flesh pits, is actually meat.
Oh my God. Actually, you know what I thought you were going to say? I thought, because I heard a theory that maybe because he's in there, maybe that explains why he has new Panther powers or something like that. I was like, yo, I'm just trying to make sense of this. Like, I don't know if that helps or not, but I thought that's what you were going to say. I was like, oh, somebody else doesn't think the same, or somebody else isn't the only one.
The Kotal is meat theory, I love it, because the whole idea is that when everything happened in Mortal Kombat 9, that somehow led to him being freed from the flesh pits. So him being in the flesh pits occurred before Mortal Kombat 9. Huh. And then, of course, everything you see in Mortal Kombat X is Kotal Kahn, or meat, doing his thing.
I think that's a wild stress. I don't think that's likely, but wow, would that be like something like what?
Back to the actual topic itself. Yeah. There is an interaction between Kotal Kahn and Shang Tsung in MK11, where he says that he basically remembers being in captivity in the flesh pits.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I think I remember something along the lines of Shao Kahn having imprisoned him specifically because he found him to be a threat.
I mean, I guess that's an explanation as to why he's there. Somewhere where it didn't cover in the MKX comic, that's when he was a prisoner there. But if you read the MKX comic, it doesn't really fit in.
He doesn't talk about it either in the Mortal Kombat X comics, does he?
No, he doesn't. And also, I don't think he was a general either, because Shao, when he sees Kotal, when the time merger happens in MK11, he says General Kotal, but he was never a general under Shao Kahn. So that's something that you can point to as an inconsistency. And I didn't catch it until somebody told me, but I was like, oh wait, you're right.
This is all ringing bells. It's never clicked for me. It is very inconsistent here, actually.
It is, but I'm like, does it matter? It doesn't really matter whether or not like Kotal was a general under Shao Kahn or he was a prisoner or something like that. You're just giving more lore to Shao, more than like, hurting the lore, I guess. But it is still an inconsistency. You would still have to categorize it under there.
I just realized the problem with this topic is that we're going to have a lot of people leaving comments below telling us how far off we are.
Hey, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I want an explanation, like literally. Like if there's something that I don't understand, I want an explanation. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
It's going to be great. Like we're all going to make a lot of mistakes here. And I expect everybody to call us out, and I will be disappointed if they don't. But you say that Kotal wasn't a general in Shao Kahn's army. Why do you say that? Because as far as I know, he was.
In the comic, he wasn't. Was he? Is that something already explained? Are you a comment section?
No, so the comics took place after MK9, right?
Yes.
So by that point,
I don't think he was a general under Shao Kahn, though. I think he was something else.
Like, it's so weird to think about because the sort of keyword for his position in Shao Kahn's army was always that he was a general. I'm assuming prior to MK9.
I mean, I'm sure like maybe some point he was, but like I don't think in the comic he was. So
yeah, some of that wasn't really explained until we saw the character.
Then again, does this inconsistency specifically matter? Because I never really considered the comics fully canon. I've always considered them semi-canon. Like they're canon when they want to be canon to the games and such. So I know Sean said he intended them to be canon, but there's a lot of inconsistencies there. And when you look at the games and when you look at the comics, it's not all there. It's not all connected. There's elements that are brought from the comic into the games and that are connected. But overall, I get the vibe that they're canon when they want to be canon.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that sticks out to me on that is how they mentioned the Reiko Accords in MKX's story.
Oh, yeah. That's something that's also in the story. And that was also in the comic.
So it stemmed from the comics, yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking of Kotal then, it might not be an inconsistency per se, but how about the whole relationship with Jade?
It comes out of nowhere, but at the same time, it's like there's nothing saying that it didn't actually happen or it couldn't have happened during that time. It's like saying that Collector couldn't have existed or a Collector came out of nowhere. Like, no, Collector wouldn't be around the time of MK9. He wouldn't be a part of the trilogy cast. He's a tax collector. They're not going to put that kind of character. They're not going to put that kind of character in the trilogy cast. But he makes perfect sense to be around that era because he's from that era, but he just was never shown. So it does come out of nowhere, but it doesn't really there's nothing saying that it shouldn't have happened or it couldn't have happened back then.
Okay, my thought process behind this is that if he and Jade are so in love as MK11 likes to throw into our face, then how is it that Jade has not even mentioned, say, a lover at all in MK9's story? And then on top of that is actually still working for Shao Kahn so willingly?
I think I have the answer for that. So after Kotal got locked up, Jade obviously became a stripper for Mortal Kombat 9. I think that's pretty obvious.
Well, I mean, it's more of a Mortal Kombat 9 as a whole story. Because in Jade's chapter, it literally progresses nothing for the story. Literally nothing. So you could have had something in MK9, like where Jade references like, oh, I have somebody that I really like or something like that. It doesn't have to be Kotal. Like you didn't have to say it. But there could have been room in there for them to mention it. But if you look at MK9, Jade's MK9 chapter, it doesn't progress the story at all. It's just fights. It's literally just filler fights. So it's more of a problem with MK9 than it is about like Jade's story or Kotal's story or anything like that.
Yeah, no, I suppose. I mean, that whole thing with Kotal and Jade was just, as you said, came out of absolutely nowhere.
It did, but to me, I don't think it's a big deal I think it just pisses off the shippers. I think that's what it mainly goes. I think
Jade
that's where,
was meant to be with Smoke.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god. I find that ship a little bit cute, but I am totally against shipping, and that's just very cringe.
It's
me.
unnecessary. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like if Jade and Smoke were to be together, then considering Smoke's interaction with Melina in Mortal Kombat 9, I don't think he'd even recognize Jade. So
Wait, what did he say to Melina?
He thinks it's Katana.
Oh wow! Oh yeah, I remember that.
Or was it the other way around? Did he think that Katana was Melina and attacks Katana?
No. He thought Jade attacked Katana when she was attacking Melina. Well, I guess one more thing to say about Jade is like Jade never really had much of a backstory to go off of right up until the NetherRealm era. So like it never really bothered me because 10,000 years leaves plenty of time for relationships, so I'm not bothered by it.
One of the inconsistencies, I think my biggest pet peeve with Mortal Kombat 11 is the entire Cabal storyline.
Oh
yes.
Yeah, that's something that I point, because I was looking real hard for inconsistencies and I missed some, but that one was like super obvious to me. I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Like, come on, it's there, it's in your face. If you're gonna make such big hype about Cabal returning, at least get him right.
For those of our listeners who may have started with Mortal Kombat 11, do you want to give a little background on Cabal and how this doesn't work?
Okay, I mean, we'll just go with MK9 basically. But in MK9, he is burned by Kintaro during the invasion, the events of sort of MK3, right? And during this time, he's actually working with the police, with Stryker.
Which doesn't make sense, but go ahead.
It doesn't. We all just accepted MK9 as a sort of reboot.
Somebody who has a domestic terrorist record. Oh yeah, let's put you in the police force. We'll take you in.
Hey, he's got the abilities, right?
Yeah.
It was that accident that also kind of helped him to run fast, wasn't it?
Yeah, that isn't, in my opinion, explained very well. It's like he gets burned and then Kano heals him and he's like, oh, I've never felt faster. Like, what? Yeah. Is that the secret to being the Flash?
Yeah.
But Cabal has this whole sort of arc in MK9 and then, dies alongside everybody else and is pretty much just appears in MKX as a revenant, if I remember correctly. And then from that point, you don't hear from him at all. Then suddenly, in MK11, he returns, having been brought back from, we're going to assume, MK9.
Yeah.
So why is he now suddenly completely evil and full on into the Black Dragon rather than being the cop from the timeline that he was pulled from?
I don't think they've ever even explained it. And honestly, I think they just wanted to do Evil Cabal. I don't know why. Evil Cabal is so boring. Like, I want Vigilante Cabal from UMK3. That's the Cabal that I want. And although that's not even consistent with with MK9, I think having a good inconsistency is better than a bad inconsistency. But I guess an explanation they could say is, okay, he was taken from the time he was a Black Dragon. Although it doesn't really work because everybody was brought back during the tournament in Outworld. Okay, fine, I'll accept it. But I don't think they've ever explained it. That's something that I could say. They could say is that he was brought back from the Black Dragon part of his life.
Yeah. The problem is that they see these characters that look evil, and in Mortal Kombat 11, they must be written evil because they look evil. And
yeah, Sindel.
I mean, yeah, exactly. We talked about that. But yeah, Sindel is the best example of that.
I think you pointed out that that's exactly what they said, right? That's exactly why they changed Sindel to be evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's the weird part because I think it was Stephanie who said this, how she looks evil, so she's actually always been evil. They wanted to write her as evil. But then what did they do? They went and made her look good. They took away the sort of evil.
Oh my, yeah. We can go on and on about that. Yeah,
that is an inconsistency.
It makes no sense. And like the reason why she looks evil is because you had to have a visual reference or a visual like a cue, or not cue, or like just something to imply that this character has been resurrected from the dead. And because we already know what Sindel actually looks like from the arcade ending, or I think it was Katana's arcade ending, or which I forgot which one it was, but
Yeah,
you can
that's
see
right.
what she actually looks like in UMK3.
Yeah, that's a good point because we saw her good form back then.
Yeah.
And they made her look that way. They made her look that way in MK11.
But she's
But,
always
yeah.
been evil, right? Don't forget.
Yeah, she's
Going
always
back
been
to-
evil.
Going back to Cabal, I mean, is it the same thing? Has Cabal always been evil and he was, just playing the police force that he worked for? Or the only explanation we really got in Mortal Kombat 11 was, oh, Sonya burned you. So now
That's
you're
Well, I
another
think-
inconsistencies.
Actually, I think no. I think they actually like because like I think it was I think Kano said that to Cabal,
Mhm.
and then the other Kano said, like, did that actually happen? And he said no. Like he was
Yeah.
like, nah, but he's just motivated. I don't know if you caught
okay.
that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. It does ring a bell. Well, going off of what you said, Brusk, the explanation you gave basically for how
Sure.
you would accept that he's evil now. He's been
Yeah.
taken pre-joining the Force. Now, if that is the case, then why is he fast?
Yeah, I know. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I'm not like saying like, okay, this is the explanation. Checkmate. Boom. I like checkmate. Like get owned. No. I'm just saying like I guess I can see what they're trying to do, or if they wanted to say something like that, I can see them doing that. But I'd be like, yeah, I know. Why does he have speed?
But I mean, you mentioned like how you'd be more willing to accept a good con.
Yeah.
So I think Skarlet is a great example of that.
Yes, and I am like, I guess I'm in the minority, or I'm like in the middle with this for Skarlet fans.
If she's no, like, would you like to explain for the people who might not know about her retcon?
Well, look, let's just say this. Skarlet was not a character in MK9. Like, she was just like, oh, look, a rumored character from the old games. We're going to bring her back, and we're just going to give her a bullshit story. Mortal Kombat 11, to me, is like their second chance to actually define who they wanted this character to be all along. And obviously you can see that because her blood powers are more elaborate. They've been elaborated on. Her story is a little bit more expanded on. She has a voice. She has a personality. So Skarlet's a character now. Mortal Kombat 9, I don't think is a good example of something that they should follow, because it was a written on a napkin kind of character. And this is somebody who likes MK9 Skarlet, or I like Skarlet in general. And I started with MK9, but I have to be fair here. Like, Skarlet just wasn't a character.
So, Yannick, correct me if I'm wrong. So just a brief explanation on the Retcon. Originally, she had been transformed out of the blood pits using Shao Kahn's magic and sorcery. But however, in the Retcon version, she is created from the blood of thousands of warriors or something like that. Correct?
Okay, so this is what it was. In MK9, she was created from the blood from the countless battlefields, as you just mentioned, fused with sorcery. Yep. And because of that, she was used as a sort of like tracker of sorts, a warrior for Shao Kahn, who like he would sort of let her off her leash, to go and find people who are possible traitors. As Brusk said, she kind of had no personality, although I do kind of put that down also just to the fact that she was a DLC character. So, for example, if we look at Rain in MK9, he didn't exactly talk, right? So I think that was one of the negative points.
Well, but previously we kind of knew what his character was all about. Like, the ego stuff kind of did start with Armageddon, or you got hints of it a little bit in UMK3. So I guess you automatically assumed what his personality was in MK9, or what this character was all about in MK9, because he's been in previous games, so you kind of already know
exactly
what's going on.
So this was sort of detracting from the strengths of her story. I myself really liked her MK9 story, and I wouldn't have minded if they took it further, because I feel like they
Just to be clear, I didn't mind it either.
Yeah. But in MK11, what they've done is, firstly, they made her more of a blood mage rather than an assassin, which I think is a cool change. Although I do really miss the sort of assassin vibe as well. And I must say outfit.
I miss it too.
Oh yeah. We're still holding out hope for MK11.
Yeah.
in MK11, she was now a starving wretch before Shao Kahn like fused her with blood.
She was a crackhead on the street.
Well, she was a starving orphan. And that has seemed to have continued into her character despite the blood sorcery giving her that lust for blood, basically.
Yeah.
And she's still Shao Kahn's creation, but in this case, it's more that she has a background having been, an actual person before, whereas MK9 sort of implied that she might have just been straight up an actual creation of blood.
Yeah, I guess like it still works together. There's just more information to it because she's still like who Skarlet is now has been made of blood, and that's kind of does still fall in line with MK9.
Exactly.
So I still don't really consider it that much of a retcon to me. It's just more information added onto there. Yes, there are a little bit of changes, but you can work around it. Like the way the words are, you can make it work for yourself.
Yeah.
Recently, Tyler or Dominique, one of the two, I can't remember which, kind of expanded on it and said that the blood that was used to create her was the same blood from the blood pits, but it was the blood of past warriors who had been deceased, and that kind of went into creating her as she is now. I mean, it doesn't change too much about what we knew. It just kind of expanded
where it
a
came
little bit.
from. Yeah. It's not too much of a. It's just expanded. It doesn't like it's not inconsistent to me.
Right. Yeah.
That's why I'm thinking it's more of a sort of positive quote unquote retcon in comparison to say Cabal and Sindel.
Yeah, for sure. I never was bothered by it. I know some people were bothered by it. I'm like, I don't see it, guys. It's not that big of a change. If anything, it's just more of just expanded. It's just DLC. It's just DLC for her story.
No, I liked it. My only issue with Skarlet's retcon was her outfit.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind it, but she still uses her, fingertips to get the blood from her. Like she still has the skin. She still stabs herself. So it's whatever. To me, it's just whatever. I have the option to switch to a Skarlet that has her thighs exposed. So like, I'm happy. I'm so happy.
Don't get me wrong. Like when I say that I miss the revealing Skarlet, it's not even of like a sort of sexual nature. It's just the fact that, firstly, I've always liked that aspect of Mortal Kombat's outfits just being so over the top and ridiculous, But with Skarlet, I feel like it makes sense as it does with, say, Melina, right? Melina, the whole point was that she was meant to be sexual for her character.
Yes.
And lure you in. Whereas with Skarlet, it was that she was absorbing blood. Now, yes, technically, she can absorb it through the clothes, but it just made so much sense for if they were going to, quote, make the outfits more modest, as they said, it would have made sense to have left Skarlet's design the way it was rather than change it so drastically.
I would have left it. I love MK9 Skarlet, but just as a design, like you said, like also just not for the sexual thing. I think it's just a good costume. I just like the way it looks. She kind of looks like a ninja. So
yeah,
that's exactly something that I really liked about Skarlet and MK9 as well.
Yeah, so I mean, we mentioned Sindel. Her retcon sort of ties into again, this is difficult to call a retcon, but I think it does apply into a sort of retcon for Shao Kahn.
Yeah, it is.
Our great Kahn has fallen.
Oh my God, when he was calling her wife in the aftermath. Oh God, man. I was just anyways. Yeah. Super cringe.
Taking her hand.
Oh my God, man. I still like Shao in this game, but there are elements that I just don't like about him. And yeah, that's one of them. I overall, I was still happy to have Shao Kahn playable in a chapter. Like he got his own chapter. I did not play the Sindel part of the story. I refused to pick Sindel. So when you pick Shao Kahn throughout Aftermath, I think it actually helps a little bit, but the wife stuff is still there.
Every time one of us says wife, I just hear him saying it in my head, grunting it in my head.
Same. I think the same too.
They really dumbed Shao Kahn down. Like he has always been this, not just a brute, but also an intelligent, like tactician, you know?
Yes.
He's always actually been smart. It's not that Shang Tsung has been the brains behind everything. There's a reason Shao Kahn has been in power so long. And I feel like one of the biggest inconsistencies of MK11 is making Shao Kahn look like he is just a dumb brute.
I think what they wanted to do with 11 was... because what you see in gameplay is somebody who says, "Are you not entertained?" Like, that's kind of like the vibe that you get when you're seeing him most of the time. And when you're playing Mortal Kombat, that's really all you get. And that's fine because it's just gameplay part. And I think they just went a little bit too overboard and they just made that part of the story in MK11, and I don't like it either, but I can get why they did it.
One thing is that, you know, Shao Kahn, he gets defeated pretty early on in the story, in the original story by Katana. It makes Katana Kahn, which is an awesome story for Katana, but at the same time, you bring him back in Aftermath, and he just decimates everybody, which doesn't seem like the same character.
It doesn't. But I guess you could also say that he was buffed up a little bit when he was in the Soul Chamber. They didn't say it, but I can see Dominic coming out and saying, yeah, he was amplified a little bit with coming out of the Soul Chamber.
I totally thought you were going to say buffed up by Sindel's return.
I thought we were going to get a Shang Tsung's juice reference again. So.
I mean, hey, it's not that far off. It's not that far off. The soul power and stuff.
They did all team up together at the end, right?
They did.
There's something we didn't see off screen.
Oh, no.
So power level then with Shao Kahn being defeated by Katana. I mean, that, in my opinion, kind of, it diminishes Liu Kang's defeat of Shao Kahn because the whole point was that Liu Kang was meant to be this crazy warrior and Shao Kahn is meant to be this tyrant, or this all-powerful tyrant, right? Like, he has literally defeated Onaga. To emphasize the point that he wasn't just brute, he poisoned Onaga because he knew he couldn't take him.
Smart.
He was smart. Exactly.
Yeah.
Aside from Onaga, Shao Kahn was pretty much the most powerful being, and that's why he's been conquering all these realms. So Liu Kang was the one who had to come along and be that champion. But now all of a sudden, Shao Kahn is getting destroyed by Katana?
Well, to me, I actually really like that part of the story mode because Katana in every single game prior to MK11 has been a damsel in distress or a goon. And so in MK11, you do a complete turnaround and you make her this really good, well-written character. And when she beats Shao Kahn, I really wanted her to... I don't know why she didn't just straight up kill him, but I think being the daughter of Shao Kahn, being like very oppressed, being minimized to something else, and then like overcoming that, I think that's very, very powerful for her character. And I think it means a lot more to her character for just Katana, knowing that she hasn't been diddly squat since before MK11, excuse me. So I really like that part of the story mode. I never really minded it. And to address like I guess my response to the Liu Kang thing is that, well, Shao Kahn was never going to be the boss of MK11. So who was going to beat Shao Kahn? Somebody who's close to Shao Kahn, somebody who has a close connection to Shao Kahn, Katana. So I thought that was good. And Liu Kang is still the chosen one at the end of MK11, so I don't think anything really is taken away from Liu Kang.
I really liked that part too. I mean, Mortal Kombat 11 has a lot of heavy-handed political correctness in it, and the whole Katana beating Kahn was very much like a girl power move. But at the same time, it was a good part of the story. It was a good story element, and it was a good progression for that character. I think there are plenty of other scenes in there where the whole political agendas were far greater, like the whole make Outworld great again scene.
I don't think it was a scene. I think it was just an intro.
Yeah.
Oh, it was in story mode. Yeah.
No, you're right. It was in the Coliseum.
Did he say let's make Outworld great again?
He did when he shows up to reclaim.
Oh, wait. Okay, now I remember. Oh, I was just like, yeah, who cares? I don't know.
You just reminded me of the scene when Kotal offers him asylum.
Oh my god!
Like, honestly, the balls on Kotal to say that to Shao Kahn.
Yeah, well, I think everyone was confused, so I think he was just trying to be like, okay, hold on a second. let's just settle down here, all right? Let's just take things very, very lightly.
On the topic of Katana, like, I agree, it was a good move. The problem was the inconsistency. I feel like that it could have been handled better in making that more, I suppose, believable based on past games showing Katana's power level, right? Katana has always been strong, but the point I was trying to make was Shao Kahn is this all-powerful being, right? So the one being was sort of working through the world, right? Trying to piece himself back together. And then Shao Kahn was supposed to be that replacement. So I just find it very weird that all of a sudden somebody other than Liu Kang is beating Shao Kahn. But I do agree, of all people, I am glad it was Katana because it was very good for her character.
Yeah, and then again, one more thing I'll say is like, well, I think I already said it, but like, okay, if it's not going to be somebody like Liu Kang who would reasonably beat Shao Kahn, it sort of falls in line with like the whole like, oh, this character is super powerful, but the daughter or that one soft spot or the one person who knows them the best, although they aren't that powerful, they have the ability to take down this person. It sort of falls in line with that kind of story where this, where this huge, powerful being, their weakness is somebody like a daughter or, a wife or not to make a joke about it, but like a wife or like, an ex-girlfriend.
I would have loved to have seen that expanded on even more though, like.
Yeah, I agree.
Conquest did it well, and that would have been cool. Like that sort of direction with Shao Kahn and Katana might have been good too. But you say that it makes sense because, say, it's the whole family weakness thing or something like that, right? And yes, you're right in a way. But one that actually leads me to one of my problems with MK11, which is that, again, you mentioned this with Shao Kahn earlier about how they've taken his character to being this brute too far. They made it a characteristic and then they kind of stepped over the line. And that seems to be something that follows most of the characters around in MK11. So, for example, Noob Saibot just being this extremely edgy boy, So that's the problem. I feel like there are too many cliches in MK11 in comparison to past games.
Well, I think for a character like Noob Saibot who doesn't have too many cutscenes and stuff, and when you all you really have to go off of is like in intros and in gameplay and stuff, I think it's okay. But at the same time, Bi-Han was always an asshole, so I never really got like I never really had a problem with it because Bi-Han was always an asshole. Like this is like who he is. He's just somebody who doesn't care, and he is an edgy boy. So
did care about Serena.
I don't know if that's really like a thing. I guess
I don't mean shipping wise, although I would still argue that possibly. But I mean in terms of the fact that he actually went to try and save her and stuff. They obviously connected, and she tried to save him, and then he obviously felt.
Didn't he just like fall, like just stumble across her, and then Serena wanted to come along with him? I don't think he really cared about Serena.
He chose to not kill her when he fought her. And,
sure, yeah.
And later on, she then went to help him fight Shinnok, right?
Sure.
Then getting killed.
Yeah, I guess. But at the same time, the Sub-Zero and the Serena kind of ship or that kind of story, it's always been more about Kuai Liang than Bi-Han to me, because they expanded on it a little bit more with Kuai Liang Sub-Zero more than they did with Bi-Han.
Yeah, in Deception.
Yeah, it's still a thing. I would say it's still a thing between Bi-Han and Serena, but I don't think it's that there too much. I think it's more present with Kuai Liang Sub-Zero than it is Bi-Han.
And for those of our listeners who don't know, this is mostly in reference to Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero video game.
Yeah.
I'm just glad we managed to get a Serena reference in there.
Yeah, Serena's a character that I really miss a lot. Yeah. I want Serena back. And
still holding out hope for MK11.
Holding out hope. Yeah, I would like to hope, but I don't think it's very likely. I can kind of expect what to see. Although I will say I did not expect Melina to come back. So
I mean, another one of the inconsistencies that everybody points out is how does this whole pain thing work in Mortal Kombat 11? Because you have certain characters where if you punch their former self, nothing happens, and if you punch them, it breaks ribs in the present version and things like that. Like you have stuff like with Kano where he gets shot in the face and dies in both incarnations, but then you have things like
Nightwolf.
You want to elaborate a little more?
Yeah, so we have the whole Nightwolf, Shang Tsung, and Fujin team up in Aftermath, right? And they are in the Nether Realm, and Shang Tsung actually absorbs Revenant Nightwolf's soul.
Mm-hmm.
Now, judging by the rules that have been established as to the, pain or whatever it being inflicted on your other self, Nightwolf should have died.
Well, in that case, though, that was past Nightwolf who didn't die, and future Nightwolf's soul was getting absorbed.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it was future Nightwolf who died, not past Nightwolf. So past Nightwolf, now he has a new path, I guess. Like something in the future has been erased, so the future hasn't happened yet. For past Nightwolf, I don't think that really works to me. Like that's not like inconsistency.
Well, that's fair. But then we look at the fact that Scorpion fought Scorpion.
Sure, sure. That's also true. Scorpion fought Scorpion, and future Scorpion died, but past
to D'Vorah.
Yes, but past Scorpion didn't.
Yes.
So is there something I'm missing here? Because I'm like,
well,
okay.
in terms of pain. Sorry, I didn't mean in terms of death.
Pain.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, sure. I mean, I guess you could say that.
Like they're throwing kunai at each other.
That's true. Was that in cutscenes or is that like in?
That was a fight right before Hanzo gets poisoned by D'Vorah, which is another one that I'm going to get into. Scorpion fights Hanzo, I guess, if I remember correctly.
Hanzo fights past Scorpion.
Yeah,
and that's kind of similar with past Johnny Cage fighting future Johnny Cage, and then one of them gets grazed with a bullet, and it creates a scar on future Johnny Cage. So in that same kind of idea, the kunai should have been hurting Hanzo during the Scorpion Hanzo fight.
That happened in cutscenes, right?
Yeah, that was a cutscene.
Well, I remember the Johnny cutscene, but not the Scorpion one. So
then can you confirm which one was actually had his cheek grazed by the bullet? Was it the young or the older?
Young Johnny got shot.
Okay.
He got a scar, and then so did past older Johnny.
Okay, all right. I thought it was the other way around. I was like, what?
No. Okay, I was a little confused right there too. Yeah.
Okay, well then, I mean, Hanzo in MKX gets stabbed in exactly the same place by D'Vorah and lives, whereas in MK11, again, same place, dies. What?
I think maybe this time she had poison in her.
What? Oh, come on.
I know it.
But that's my thought too on it.
I think D'Vorah also stabbed him a little in another place as well. So it was two places instead of one. I know. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I didn't like Scorpion dying to D'Vorah. I liked his death scene, like that very touching moment, but I didn't like how he died to D'Vorah.
Oh, that was meme potential galore. That was beautiful, honestly. But I mean, I believe that Noob should have been the one to have killed him. But yeah, like I remember somebody posted a picture of the deathing scene side by side, MKX, MK11, and it's literally the exact same position.
Yeah, I mean, my devil advocate response is still the same. But I'm
poison. D'Vorah went through metamorphosis and gained the power of poison.
Poisoned him this time. Yeah,
she just laced her tentacle tips with poison. So.
There is one character who has apparently been killed by at least the entire roster at this point. King Jerrod.
Oh yeah! Oh my
God! Who the hell killed him?
I like how that's like a meme. Like, who killed Jerrod? Was it D'Vorah? Was it Shao Kahn? Was it Sindel? Who was it?
Quan Chi?
Yeah,
Quan Chi's apparently killing everybody now.
Everybody killed Jerrod. Like that. I like how that's a meme. But because in the crypt, I think it says that Shao Kahn did it, but then in Aftermath, it says that Sindel did, or Sindel helped.
But then in Interactions, D'Vorah did.
Yeah, and then in Interactions, D'Vorah killed Jerrod. I'm like, what? I still think like I think the story was that Shao Kahn still cared Jerrod, but Sindel was by her side, by his side, excuse me. So I think the original thing is still there. But I do like the meme about who killed Jerrod. It's like everybody killed Jerrod. I think that's really funny.
I'm just trying to think of who else has said they might have killed him. I feel like Quan Chi was involved at some point as well.
I don't remember that happening in MK11, but I think you may be connecting that with Quan Chi killing Sindel.
Yes, that was
probably what it is. Yeah,
yeah,
which is stupid.
I mean,
which is stupid.
Like, is King Jerrod within Ermac then? Has that been confirmed? We have no idea what's happening with Jerrod, and you would think that this would be something they would confirm at some point.
I think that is confirmed, yes, that Jerrod is a part of Ermac.
That was in his MK9 ending, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was his MK9 ending, yeah. One more thing I'll say about Jerrod is that I think, and there's an MKX intro that's a very, I don't know if you guys know this, there's a very, very rare intro in MKX where Ermac is speaking as Jerrod to Ermac in a mirror match. I don't know if you guys heard that. And it sounds like Orin. Like, I think it's the same voice actor as Orin from Armageddon, but
really?
I thought it was Orin, but he's speaking in the intro as Jerrod. So yeah, not many people know that.
I mean, I've watched all the intros, and I feel like this would have stuck out to me.
Like, I made a video on this, and I thought it was Orin because it sounded literally exactly like Orin. So I thought, like, for some reason, Orin was like a part of Ermac, or Orin was speaking through Ermac. So I made a video about it. You can like just search up Mortal Kombat X Orin intro or something like that, and you can find the intro.
Yeah, definitely curious to check that out.
My stupid commentary with my voice around the time. Just skip that part whenever you get the chance.
That's actually really cool. I had no idea.
Yeah, but
going back to Sindel, doesn't the Mortal Kombat 11 story change her death quite dramatically too?
It changes her entire character dramatically.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so Sindel was meant to have been, firstly, as we said, good, and I refuse to admit, or accept rather, that she is evil. I think that's complete bull, and that the writers need to accept that maybe they made a mistake with that, and just suck it up and be like, okay, yeah, you know what? Anyway, Sindel was supposed to have committed suicide, which would then have led to the barrier for Earthrealm. You know, like the whole thing, like to protect Earthrealm. Now, with her apparently not having killed herself, that leads us to what we said earlier, that Quan Chi apparently killed her because he thought she was a threat to Shao Kahn, was it?
It's so dumb, man. Why
would Quan Chi care?
Why would Quan Chi care? And in MK9, why would she kill herself to save Earthrealm? Why would she care about Earthrealm? She doesn't give a shit.
That's a fair point, you know?
Yeah, that's an MK9 problem more than it is 11, but
to be fair, okay, at this point in MK9, Sindel was trying to protect Edenia, realized she had failed, and knew that Earthrealm would have been the next point of conquer, right?
I thought she was creating a barrier between Outworld and Edenia at that point, and that's why their suicide
otherwise
was
they wouldn't have been conquered. But
I get your point, but at the same time, you never see like people like Argus like defending Earthrealm or anything like that. I don't think it's consistent with how other people like interact with other realms. Like Raiden wouldn't go out of the way and try to protect other realms from being conquered or anything like that. So I don't know.
But he has shown indignation at the idea of it, though, right?
Sure, but I think that just comes from like not liking Shao Kahn.
Yeah, but why does he not like Shao Kahn? Because he tries to conquer realms, right?
Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So with Sindel, my logic is that she was supposed to be, and still is, good, right? And she was so good that she realized that Earthrealm would have been next on the list and tried to, save another sort of civilization, right? Or another whole realm in this case. That's my sort of headcanon. I get why, you would not agree with it. I just feel like that's a lot less of an inconsistency in comparison to what has happened to Sindel.
I'll give that a pass. I'll give that a pass to me. And like even Sindel's retcon doesn't even work in their own writing. So because like, okay, you just have to look at, so Shiva has known Sindel even before when she died. So Shiva would know that she has been evil all along, which is what they have been saying. Sindel was evil all along. Why does she act surprised when she goes around and why does she act surprised when she suddenly the twist happens where she's evil? Like, why are you surprised? You knew she's evil. Like, what? It's just, it doesn't even work. If you didn't know,
then you weren't a good bodyguard.
Yeah.
You say you never left her side. Doubt.
But we're told that she is a good bodyguard, that she's been there by her side all the time. So she would know that she was evil. And then she acts surprised when she's evil. So it doesn't even work at their own writing. They know that it's not. I think they got to admit, they got to suck it up, and they got to admit that it was a
It
mistake.
just didn't work. Yeah, no, I mean everything about Sindel didn't work, and I guess this will be my last point on Sindel because everybody
We've
has
gone through,
really
everybody's gone through this. I've gone through this. So
this is something that I find very weird. Now, Sindel was defeated in MKX by the Combat Kids.
yeah,
Sindel in MK9 destroyed everyone. Right?
yeah.
Now,
yeah.
we recently had this point. Well, recently, we had this point in our Aftermath discussion episode with History Behind the Wear and the Fourth Snake and Uppercut Editions that she was only so strong in MK9 due to having absorbed Shang's powers.
Yeah.
But in MK11, she is proclaimed to be god tier, basically, taking on Cetrion.
Yeah.
So that explanation for her only being strong due to Shang's powers actually doesn't make sense here with MK11's apparent take on Sindel.
Yeah, and I think the reason why they brought her back, other than like, oh, she's a DLC character, we kind of have to write her in, is that like, oh, like the MK9 scene happened, so that's why we want to bring her in. And yes, like the Shang Tsung giving her the buff is the reason why she did so, or she was able to do it. But I guess another thing that I could see them like saying is that when she was in the Soul Chamber, she got buffed up as well, like Shao Kahn did. So they don't say it, but I think if you said that, it would work. Like she got extra souls from the Soul Chamber, like in the Soul Refrigerator. So yes.
I was just thinking, Nightwolf actually fights Nightwolf.
Yes.
They feel pain when hurting each other. Well, actually, that kind of goes against the whole thing, firstly, that we said of possibly that, he's in the future, so he wouldn't feel the pain. Because Revenant Nightwolf, so future Nightwolf, is actually feeling pain from hurting past Nightwolf. So that actually goes against our sort of justification for why Nightwolf didn't die when, Revenant Nightwolf was absorbed. But then on top of that, Jax fights Jax in the story, and neither of them get hurt.
I mean, was there a major injury that happened in that fight?
I don't know, man. Like, I feel like if you're getting punched by somebody with
cybernetic
arms,
I mean, I'm not really gonna defend this as much. I'm just saying, because I remember some people in my Twitch chat have been asking me this question and stuff. Okay, maybe like major notable injuries are actually taking effect when the past versions of themselves like fight, or like when they fight themselves or something. If a major injury happens, that's when in effect will happen, because a bullet scar, that's something that's always gonna stick with you no matter what.
I got one for you. Kung Lao gets thrown into a sea of blood as his younger version, but Revenant Kung Lao is just fine.
Yeah, but I don't think he died.
Yeah, he didn't die, no. If future Kung Lao was still kicking, I'm assuming that Kung Lao was just not drowning, but just like swimming the entire freaking.
It's bottomless, but not endless.
It's
he might have found a shore.
All right, I'll give you guys that one.
But I mean, with the whole, like bad injury thing, Jax versus Jax kind of really looked just as bad as Nightwolf versus Nightwolf. To be honest.
Again, I'm not gonna defend it as much. I'm just trying explain it in a writer's perspective, even though the writing could be this is what happens when you don't write it very, very well.
One thing I found really surprising about the story mode was Raiden, the defender of Earthrealm, meets Kotal Kahn, and he's never heard of him before. But we also find out that Kotal Kahn or the Aztec were revered by the Mayans. So, I mean, is the defender of Earthrealm really that bad at knowing what's happening in his realm?
I guess like he just didn't know Kotal specifically, I guess.
Yeah, but Kotal himself is revered, like it's so...
Yeah, that's true.
If you're going to know of the Aztec, you're going to know who Kotal is.
I guess he would know more of his father Ketz than he would like actually Kotal himself, or Coatal, or Bullock, whatever you want to call him.
Any, just not
maybe the name change. Like, oh, this is. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm trying to explain this so bad.
Don't get us wrong. We appreciate you playing devil's advocate, so we can tear it down.
Yeah. Like, I like Mortal Kombat 11, so I'm just trying to be nice.
Well, okay, so Kronika.
Uh-oh.
She has the... exactly. She has the power to stop time and has literally never killed anyone with it.
That's true. And also, I'm not going to explain. I'm just going to elaborate on this. Like, okay, so the Titan isn't Kronika. It's the hourglass because you need the crown and the hourglass to control time.
Whoa, hold on! You just blew my mind. That's, is that how it is? I always thought Kronika was the Titan.
That's what we're told, but she herself can't do it. She needs the crown and the hourglass to do what she is said to do. So the Titans don't work because the actual Titan here is the hourglass. Because the hourglass is the power that controls time.
So according to this interpretation, what exactly is Kronika?
I don't know. I literally don't know. That's why I don't like the Titan thing. It just does not work.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the next point. The Titans are the biggest inconsistency.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys were thinking that I was like defending Kronika or anything or trying to explain it. No, I was like saying, this is something that's like in defense. Like you can't defend this. This is something
you can't. No. Like Kronika is meant to be this Titan. However, we have been shown that Liu Kang and Shang Tsung can control time and pretty much do everything that she was doing, except have innate time manipulation abilities.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is true. Like technically, the crown and the hourglass are the true Titans, and even then, technically, the crown never existed until Shang Tsung.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't have anything other than I agree with you. Other than
so Kronika is just the mother of gods. That's pretty much her only role in the game.
Much.
And that also doesn't work either. We're also told by Dominic that Kronika exists above the one being. No, that does not work.
Yeah, no, I remember hearing that. I was like, what?
Yeah, that doesn't work because the one being is existence itself. So Kronika is a part of the one being. You can't exist above something that you're a part of, Yeah. It's like saying like whether you believe in God or not, whether you're religious or not, it's like saying I'm above God. God doesn't work.
Yeah, like that's the thing. And that was what really made me lose confidence in the writing. When I saw that tweet.
I lost confidence in MK9. So
MK9 was good but had problems. MKX was where I really started to lose confidence in the story, but then MK11 really took things further. And then this specific point of the Titans being above the one being, what are you talking about? Like, by saying this, you are showing you don't understand the entire plot of MK11 of Mortal Kombat. And that's what we're saying. The Titans are so inconsistent because if you are placing them not just above the Elder Gods, who were meant to be the top dogs other than the one being, you're placed above the one being, then that makes the entire story of Mortal Kombat, because the whole point is that it's supposed to be the one being's sort of looming return.
Yeah. And the influence of the one being is through some people like Shao Kahn, because Shao Kahn wants to conquer all the realms. And when you merge all the realms together, when you get closer to that vibe, it'll bring back the one being. So it worked with how it was before, but now it doesn't because Kronika's above the one being, which
it just doesn't work. Exactly.
Kind of going off of that, Sean Kittleson, who wrote the Mortal Kombat X comic books, actually said that the Titans were below the one being before Dominique made his statement on it.
It's hard when you're not in studio and you're not on the same page, and because I think Sean is in LA and Dominic is obviously in Chicago, so you can see the disconnect a little bit right there.
Yeah,
not being under the same wing.
Anyways, that was just my random thought.
Well, I mean, I agree with Sean that the Titans would be below the one being because one last thing to say again, just so we can explain this for people who aren't really caught up with this. So like the one being and the Elder Gods were the only two entities that existed at the beginning, just like literally at the beginning of everything. Before time itself was even a concept. So when the Elder Gods defeated the one being, it was split into various components, which make the known universe. So the realms and such. So the Titans can't be above the one being because the one being is literally all of existence itself. Elder Gods and Titans accepted. So even in MK11, Setran herself acknowledges this. She says, we are all children of the one being, as are all the gods of the realm. So
Thank you.
Man, I was gonna say, man, the inconsistencies, but I mean explanation mode. So yeah, that's how it goes, guys. That's how it goes.
I like how you, before time even existed, because Chronica.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, I think there are a few quotes I've seen in Mortal Kombat communities online. In the Facebook group, on YouTube, on Reddit. There are a few quotes that really stuck out to me about the inconsistencies in Mortal Kombat, and here are a few of them. I think it's harder to find a narrative sequence in Mortal Kombat that does not have inconsistencies than one that does.
Yep.
When asked what inconsistencies are there in Mortal Kombat, somebody responded, the entirety of the rebooted universe, lol.
MK9.
NRS MK games have more inconsistencies than actual verifiable facts. That one felt like a big burn.
That's pretty funny. I've seen people say something like that. It's
to be fair, we're just playing around. We obviously love Mortal Kombat for the story and such. But I just thought those would be some fun quotes.
When you say that you realized about the not being all there and the writing is always going to have inconsistencies and this is kind of just how it is. Again, I felt that way since I really analyze MK9 and I really don't really like MK9 as the story. I thought MKX was okay. I think it's the best written Mortal Kombat story, but it's hold on. But boring and it's emotionally unsatisfying. And I think MK11, it's not well written, but I think it's emotionally satisfying for me.
I mean, everybody kind of has their different favorite when it comes to the Mortal Kombat lore games.
And when I got to MK11, I was like, I know this is how it's going to be. I know I'm not expecting Tobias level writing or anything like that.
Oh, good old days.
I know. So I'm like, when stuff happens, yes, I'm going to be annoyed. Yes, I'm going to call it out. But I mean, it's tiresome now. And they do a pretty good job at hiding it with these really awesome scenes, the Fujin scene in Aftermath, Liu Kang in general as a whole in MK11 and his story, Shang Tsung in Aftermath. So, they do a really good job with a lot of other things. So if you give me the stuff that I want that emotionally satisfies me, I think I'll be okay.
I think all these inconsistencies show the need for NetherRealm or Warner Brothers to have a Mortal Kombat encyclopedia. So I'd like to take this moment to give a special thanks out to Uppercut Editions for all their continued support. If anybody's interested in knowing more about them, you can find them at Encyclopedia MK on Twitter and the Mortal Kombat Encyclopedia Project on Facebook. They're actually working on building a all-encompassing book of everything Mortal Kombat related. And I think that would benefit NetherRealm to the extreme.
Yeah, more so than the community, even, in my opinion.
Any media that's not related to games, I will take. So that's why I was super, super happy to have Scorpion's Revenge and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I know that's a movie and that not an encyclopedia or a book. Any Mortal Kombat media that's not the games, I just want it in my veins because I like seeing Mortal Kombat expanded into different things. And because when you do that, you get a bigger fan base and more content. Yeah.
You mentioned Tobias. I mean, I think we also have to address, John Vogel too.
Yeah. The dream team, if we could get them.
Yeah. If we could have them both, it would be a completely different level.
You guys could probably be able to get Tobias. He doesn't, I think he's been on another.
I meant back for NRS.
Yeah. I thought you were saying it would be good to have him on or something.
That would be sick. That would be the dream. I really think Tobias and Vogel coming back for NRS as writers, as the main writers, that would be amazing.
Well, I think Vogel is still there, but I don't think he's a writer anymore. He's just he's kind of he gives the green light, yeah, you can do this, or yeah, you can do that.
It's just shocking to me because his writing, as much as I love Tobias, the 3D era was my favorite era in terms of lore, and that was Vogel.
Well, the 3D era expanded on the things that we know of right now, the things that we like about Mortal Kombat now is due to the 3D era.
Exactly.
Although I think a big part of it is also the original games, but the fact that Noob Saibot is Bihan, that started in Deception. Yeah, that's one thing that people often forget.
So before we let you go, what is your favorite finisher?
Well, this is a tough one. I was prepared for this question, or I feel like I'm always prepared for the question. Yeah, every time I get asked this question, it's always two things. It's always two of them. I can't decide which one is which, or
Tell us
which one
both.
is my favorite. Okay, but they're both Liu Kang's. It's the arcade drop, and it's the dragon finisher. Where he turns
nice.
into the dragon in E2. Yeah,
We've had a few people say the dragon fatality, right?
Yeah, I was
Anton?
just thinking that same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people love that fatality.
I love it.
The Mortal Kombat 2 one, is that the one you're thinking of?
Well, yeah, the Mortal Kombat 2 one, yes. But the MK9 one is, well, as long as he turns into a dragon and needs to, yeah.
You must have been happy with the arcade machine brutality then.
Oh, yeah, dude, I was so happy. I was really, really happy. I was like, yes, thank you. This is the one I wanted.
It doesn't feel good when you're on the receiving end in Combat League, honestly.
Oh, yeah, because you have to mercy somebody to get that happen. Yeah.
It's happened to me like twice. I'm like, oh my God. We touched on this at the beginning of the episode, but where can our listeners find you?
You can find me on YouTube. Just search up BruskPoet. You can find me on Twitter. Also search up BruskPoet. You can do that on Twitch as well. You can just search up not BruskPoet. It's BruskPoet V. The TV and BruskPoet is and the T in BruskPoet, they're kind of like the same word. So I'm trying to say BruskPoet TV, but it's just one V, it's just one T, not two.
Could you not get it because somebody else took it?
Somebody did take it. I don't know who it was.
It's a trend. Everyone seems to go through this.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, who is this guy? And the account doesn't even follow me, so the guy just took it just because he wanted to.
Oh man,
BruskPoet TV.
Yeah, well, it's BruskPoet V, but it's supposed to be BruskPoet TV. Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
We'd like to thank all of our listeners for stopping by the Realm Kast today. And thank you very much, BruskPoet, for joining us on this episode. It was a pleasure to have you on the Realm Kast.
Thanks for joining, man.
I'm very, very happy to have had this experience, and I hope to see you guys again soon.
We would love it.
Yep.
You can find Yanni and myself, Phantom, on the Mortal Kombat group on Facebook, as well as Yanni on the Mortal Kombat meme realm. You can catch up on all episodes of the Realm Kast on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, and Spotify.
I have missed you.